So, uh, with this whole flock camera, um, when I took a little bit of a break from the internet, interacting with the internet, observing what's going on, but not engaging, not creating content, not posting, just watching what's happening, and not watching as much as I was or am currently, just sitting back, thinking, contemplating things, you know, forming my own opinions about stuff. I come back on Twitter because I want to argue. I want to I'm bored, so I wanna sit here, and it's not like I'm arguing for the sake of arguing. So I just disagree to disagree. No, these are my opinions. What do you? All these people are complaining about surveillance state and being spied on, and I my pattern recognition's on point. So when all these people are complaining about the surveillance state, at the same time using their cell phones, at the same time we have a lot of people's houses with ring cameras. And for the longest time, we've had cameras in public. You know, when I go into a store, I know I'm being recorded. It's nothing new. And these people are acting like we haven't had this stuff going on. We haven't had the government spying on us. Like, so where we're headed, and you don't have to. You don't have to continue with modern society if you don't want to. That's why the Amish stopped and they live in old times, because they didn't want to. It didn't agree with their lifestyle. That's why they live old school. And it's hilarious to me that these people want to stop the progression of society and live in the same place. I know technology is moving up very rapidly. I get it. And change is hard for people. But it's funny to me that I'm seeing the narrative of, if you are not pro-Israel, you have to be anti-flock cameras, anti-data centers, you have to be anti-technology. But these same people who are creating an uproar trying to say that we have to be in the specific box are the same people using the same devices, whether it's the cell phone, a smart TV. Maybe they have a ring camera themselves. Maybe they have a Roomba in their house. Like we're gonna be bringing in robots into our lives more and more. So it's gonna happen. You don't have to bring this type of stuff into your life. You don't have to have a smartphone. You don't have to have a smart TV. You don't have to have the internet. You can go say, I'm done. I'm going to go buy a plot of land. I can go start my own community. It doesn't even have to be an Amish community. You can start your community, and it can be like a 90s style type of community. Or maybe you don't have cable and stuff like that, but maybe you do. But yeah, you could, like, for me, I was like thinking to myself, man, it sucks when I go out in reality. It sucks on the internet with social media. I definitely don't want to go back to cable. What am I gonna do? Well, I mean, I pretty much create my own simulations with my video games. So I use that as a type of entertainment. But I make my own music as well. And you can do that. You can go learn an instrument and go live and make, get a banjo, get some drums, get a guitar, a bass, some instrumental music, some instruments, flutes and stuff like that. You can create your own music off grid. You don't need AI. If you're anti-AI, then and data centers and like they use data center for social media. That's what is so crazy. And these people, they just like you put this out there and they don't think like the comments are pretty much the same. You're stupid. Okay. Blah blah blah. You're pro surveillance. Listen, man, this is the way things are going. I don't have anything to hide. I'm actually pretty shocked that the CIA or FBI hasn't given me a visit for some of the rhetoric I have talked about online, for some of the stuff I've posted on the internet. I'm not calling for violence, but some of it can be skewed a certain way, or they can interpret a certain, But I'm in a complete box on my own, and people are like, you're ignorant, you're dumb, and I'm wondering, like, are these all bots? Like, it's funny because if you go on Twitter, right, somebody posts something, and then, like, you see, like, the same comments over and over again, and these popular influencers, they want you to follow them. It is so fun. It's so funny that I'm just supposed to go along with the narrative, what they want, and if they don't, then they're gonna reject me. I don't give a fuck if you want to reject me. Excuse my language. I'm trying to not say cuss. I don't care if you accept me. Like, you people have already rejected me anyway. I don't care. You guys have had plenty of time to bring me up and you haven't. So I really don't care. Listen, and here's the thing. I can have my opinion and be like, okay, I can think about it. Let me connect the dots. Maybe I was off about that. Maybe I didn't have the correct information, and I could formulate my opinion to a different level. Maybe it's more like, okay, maybe they're a little bit right about this, but what about this? That's basically what I'm thinking is I can ask, like, why are you people so up in arms about the surveillance when, like, the Patriot Act has been enacted since the W. Bush times? I've talked about this probably in my last video, but like everybody, it's tiresome that these people. It's almost like a distraction. That's what it is. It's almost like a distraction. Nobody's even talking about the way that they've tried to merge our militaries together with a foreign country. Nobody, and I think that's way more important than flock cameras. If you're not speeding, if you're not trying to, if everything's properly registered, listen, do I like having to register my vehicle every year? No. But I try to go along with the laws because that's the laws. Like, I'm not going to sit here and drive my car without a license plate because I'm immediately going to get pulled over and then my car's going to get impounded. That's the consequences. I try not to speed. Why do I try not to speed? Because I don't want to talk to cops. Not that I have a problem with most cops. I just want to get where I have to go, and that's it. Like, I don't want to be interrupted. Um, I don't want to pay the government more than I have to pay. Um, and it's so weird to be in the position I'm in, to be against rich people, and at the same time having to defend some of the technology that's coming out, or the technology that's coming out, because I know where it's headed. Like what's gonna happen is the money that we use and we're accustomed to, we're not gonna need in the future. It's gonna be a social credit score. Like, that's where it's gonna go. You know, if you're breaking laws, you're gonna have a lower credit score. That's where we're headed. We're not gonna need money. Like, money is pretty much seems like it's worthless. It's like a hassle. You know, all these people, and a lot of these people that I agree with a lot of the things that they say. That's what's so crazy, is like, I am literally on an island by myself, I feel like. And I'm fine with that, and I'm comfortable with that. But the money that they are so grasping, like, we need to have physical dollars, is being like made useless. So like, you want to hold on to the fit. Like, I hate, so for me, and this is so unpopular, I hate driving. I can't wait till cars come and just like, I don't want to own a car no more. Ooh, yeah, I don't like to drive. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I think that a lot of people are horrible drivers. I don't trust a lot of drivers. I don't like how they're on my. I'm abiding by the laws. I'm going the speed limit, and then they have to like get on me. Like, I can't drive like that. I don't know how people. I can't just look at a bumper for like. I don't know for. I just can't do that. I can't just ride behind somebody like this looking at their, like, I can't do that. That's so crazy to me, because I'm looking out, I'm thinking about different things. So I have like 3-4 car lengths. You know, I don't want to sit here and just look at the same. It's so crazy, man, that these people are. That's how I am, because my brain is always thinking, dude, and I can't just sit here and focus on one thing and just like. I leave early. I use because I know things could happen. Maybe I have to go a different way because the road is closed for some reason. Maybe a power line falls and my normal route, I have to take a detour. So I try to leave early. I don't like to be late for appointments or places I'm supposed to be on time. I don't like to be late. I like to be early. I show up to work for like 10 minutes early every day. Sometimes I would show up like a half an hour early, 20 minutes early, somewhere around 20 minutes early, because I had a long commute. You know what I mean? I think ahead. I mean, it's like, I don't just wake up 5 minutes before I have to go somewhere. And I'm rushing, and I'm like getting in the car, and I'm like, I don't want to rush. I hate rushing. That's like one of the biggest things. I hate having to frantically look for something. So for me, I try to put stuff in the same places, and I try to automate my reality as much as possible. Because I have better things to worry about. I'm thinking about bigger things than my basic. I don't want to sit here and look for my car keys when I know I have to be at work, and I'm like, I get 1 point left, and if I lose my. It's like, dude, what happens if your car breaks down? What happens if you get a flat tire? What happens if you something? It's just. Well, I don't understand how people live like that, in a rush all the time. I want to be peaceful. I want my life to be peaceful. I don't want to feel rushed. I hate feeling rushed, and I don't get that. I don't understand how people live like that. Sometimes it happens, but all the time I have to be on their butt. Like, dude, it's so crazy that people just. That's why. So I'd rather just have a robot deliver my groceries. I don't even want to go to a grocery store. I don't like looking for stuff. I don't want to ask people who work there where this is at. I just want to go on the internet, plug in what I need. I take an inventory check. I'm like, okay, I need some of this, I need some of this, plug it in there, boom, 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 shows up my doorstep. The reason why I know we can do that. Like, you know, my kids use the Uber Eats and the Uber whatever a lot. They get like deals and stuff. And maybe it is cheaper, but I usually, when I go out shopping, I usually get stuff in like a lot of bulk, so I don't have to go back for a while. I don't like to do it. But to me, I have a vehicle. I pay a lot of money for it. I try not to use it too much. My vehicle's paid off. It's over 100,000 miles now, barely over 100,000 miles, but I'm trying to, I really don't want to ever buy a vehicle again. I just, to me, driving, I'd rather just drive on a racetrack and have fun. So, like with technology, when I'm looking at everything with technology, the advancement of technology, robots coming out, you know, these people were anti-technology. I look at them like these people, the same as when vehicles started coming out, and all these people are basically want to stay in horse and carriage while, you know, they want to have a bunch of poop in the streets from the horses instead of having vehicles that get you around quicker, and there's no poop in the streets anymore. Like, I feel like I'm in hell sometimes because I want to be further in the future with technology. You know, here's another thing too, and I was thinking about this. For me, you know, this is crazy too, is because I don't have any friends right now. I got my kids, my relationship with my kids. There's a couple, you know, acquaintances, but true friends that are like my best friend, somebody I can confide into, I don't have that. I don't have that no more, which contributes to a huge confusing time of my life. But I want AI to be my best friend. Now, that sounds weird, but when I talk to AI, there's no feeling there. So when I ask AI something, I don't want it to like boost my ego. You know, I don't want it to spare my feelings. When I'm talking to, like, I have a best friend or whoever I'm confiding into, you know, they might not give it to me straight. I can't trust that people are going to give it to me straight. Now, I'm not built like Trump, where I need a bunch of yes men. I need people to tell me what I need to hear to make me feel good about myself. I'm not built like that. You know, this life I've lived where I've developed these defensive mechanisms inside my subconscious. Yes, I've learned a lot about myself and human nature. You know, you're stupid, you're uneducated. Okay, I'm uneducated, I'm stupid, okay. Because I can't. I don't remember stuff and regurgitate it very quickly. I'm so stupid. Whatever. I've developed these defensive mechanisms inside to cope with my reality. So I don't really trust people anymore. I don't trust the validation if they give me validation. I'm skeptical of it. I'm skeptical if somebody wants to give me a gift. I feel like I owe them something. I really don't want gifts. I don't want free handouts. I'm extremely independent. I don't like asking for help. I will if I absolutely have to. You know, when I started my job or I start a new job, I don't know what I'm doing. I definitely ask for help. But I like to be self-sustaining. I don't like to be a person who can't handle things on their own. Now, I have to delegate some things to other people. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and diagnose something wrong with my, like, I can do small things, okay? I'm not gonna be an expert and everything, and that's something with these people who are like, you're uneducated because you didn't get a degree. They think that just because they got their little degree that they're an expert in literally everything in this world, everything in this universe. They're a complete expert in, and you're uneducated because you it's just like, what dude, you know how I don't need to prove myself to anybody either. The only thing I need to prove anything to anybody is myself. And that's, I look at myself for my own validation at this point. Because that's the only, like, I don't know if there's an agenda. I don't know if people are being sarcastic. I don't know if people are being real. I don't know if they're being phony. I don't know if, you know, somebody's telling me something and it sounds good, that there's a hidden agenda behind that. So when I talk to AI and I'm like, give it to me straight, because that's how I want it. I don't want it to be fighting like, oh, you're a piece of crap. Like, I don't want that. Like, extreme hard level. I already live life on a hard level. But I don't need AI to sit here and argue with me. Going to the extreme, like, just no. And I don't need it to be pumping my bags and boosting me up. I just need it to go right down the middle. Tell me when I ask it something, tell me what I want. Not what I want to hear. I want to hear the truth. Non-biased truth. And that's why AI is, I look at, I'm frustrated with it. It's not where I want it to be. I want it to remember everything I put in there, and it doesn't. It doesn't. It destroys memory, so we can. That's how they have it. So after so long, it'll destroy some of the things. It'll remember some stuff for a period of time, but I need it to remember everything I put in it. That's where I want it to be. It's not there. I almost feel like I live in primitive times to where I want to be. Or where we're headed, honestly. Like, it's so funny, like, the popularity contest of these people on the internet. Like, if you don't like, then you're stupid. Like, why? Because I don't agree with your opinion? Because my opinion might be slightly different than yours? I'm stupid? Like, this is what they say. And it's not like they come up with some, like a lot of these people or bots or whatever, it's, oh, boo, boo. They don't even tell you why you're wrong. Someone will say something, but it's like, Okay, I'll take that new information into consideration, but also it could be lies as well. So it's hard to really trust anything. And you know, when I look at these popular people and they see some of the stuff I say and they don't, I'm not being boosted in the algorithm at all. None of these popular people have ever brought me on their podcast. None of them have ever, you know, wanted to debate me. But they probably could destroy me because their whole life is basically debating, and mine isn't. It's like I look at debating or arguing on Twitter as something like a pastime. Like, to be honest, it's like reading a book. There's a lot of useful information that does pop up on there, and I learned some words. Being on Twitter has, like, if you go back and you look at my Facebook posts 10 years ago and you look at my posts now, it's night and day. You can see how much I've evolved with the knowledge I've gained. You can see how, like, am I ever going to be an Arthur Schopenhauer, a Nikola Tesla, an Albert Einstein? No. But you can see how dumb I was back then to where I am now. And this is all self-taught. All on my spare time. Like, I learned about the economy and inflation and Bitcoin and assets and how to trade in the stock market all on my own. Yeah, sure, I went to references like on YouTube and stuff like that, of course. Yeah, I'm going to go to people who have been successful, and I'm going to try to mimic what they're doing. Why would I want to try to, well, you know, here's the thing. Why would I want to go ahead and make massive errors when I can just look at somebody else? They've already made the massive errors, and you're like, hey, I can sidestep that. I can learn from their mistakes. Instead of just like going in, being stubborn and be like, I know what I'm doing. Like, when I think about things, and I do self, like I analyze myself. I'm still learning about myself, how I operate, why I operate the way I operate. And I ask AI stuff too. Why wouldn't I? It's so much quicker. Is it 100% foolproof? Well, nothing is 100% foolproof. Oh, you use AI. I use Google. Well, yeah, but some of the stuff on Google could be false too. And some of the stuff on mainstream media can be false too. A book somebody wrote, some of it can be false too. It's just like some of these people operate with the way I do it is 100% certainty. There's nothing like that could be wrong, and because you follow it, it's like these people think just because, you know, listen, does AI get everything correct? No. But if I do the research myself, am I going to get everything correct too? No, because I'm going to forget some stuff. You know, I might forget, you know, I come out there and it's like, I'm not going to remember every single thing to a T that I learn. You know what happens? Like, this is human nature. You learn something, and if you don't use it for a while, you start forgetting it. That's the thing. Like, we're not robots. And it's not like you can't come back to it and come back to the level you were, but Okay, I'm going to use my forklift experience. I am a master forklift driver. This is the only thing I've ever mastered in my whole life, driving a forklift. I know it's useless, but we need it still. It's still heavily used by humans, and yeah, it doesn't take a lot of brain power, but to operate it in the level I operate, where I am efficient, very safe, I'm a high level. So, over this last 10 years, so I went to these different jobs. Some of these jobs I didn't drive a forklift at all. I went years without driving a forklift. And then I go to a new job and I'm required to drive a forklift. So like when I just came out of the corn mill, I didn't drive a forklift at all. That's why I was like getting high at work. Because like, who cares? I know it's bad. I know that's bad. But I was walking around. I just walked around. That's all I did. I wasn't going to run into anybody. I felt safe. I felt safe to be able to do that. Do I feel safe doing that now? I don't smoke weed now. I'm trying to progress my life. I'm trying to get my body back. And I think it holds me back right now. Will I go back to doing it again? Yeah, but not right now. So, I didn't drive forklift. The job I had before, I didn't drive forklift. So, basically, I drove forklift in about 2023 or whatever, and I didn't drive till right now, till about 6 months ago. I took it easy when I started again. After a few days, after a couple days, I started getting back to where I was. But I didn't just go from the expert level when I was using it every single day. When I first hopped on it. The same thing happens when you ride a bike. I didn't ride a bike for probably 10 years or so. I just bought a bike last year, hopped on it, and it felt foreign. I still knew how to ride it, but I didn't feel completely comfortable. Now I feel more comfortable, more confident. And that's with like basically anything in life, man. And that's what people just don't understand. They don't look at human nature. They think it's like, this is the way it is. This is the way it always. There's so many different variables in life. And I'm just seeing cult-like behavior on the internet. I ran into this problem with when I was a part of MAGA, right? Where this is another thing when I was by myself. When Joe Rogan was contemplating not, like, people weren't, he wasn't on Trump's side yet. And then you had people like Cat Turd attacking him. And I'm like, stop. Like, you're making it so he won't join our side. He's a big fish, dude. Like, he's a number one draft pick. He's a huge free agent. He's like getting a Michael Jordan on your team. Prime Michael Jordan. And you're sitting here making it so he don't want to join our team? Because what? Because he's like, I don't know. So it's kind of like you have a Michael Jordan, a LeBron James, a Tom Brady, a Babe Ruth thinking about joining your team, and he's not joining at, like, he's sitting here during free agency, thinking about a couple different teams he could join. And he's thinking about joining your team. He's thinking about it. He's still weighing his options. And because he isn't jumping on your team fast enough, you want to reject him? You want to be like, no, we don't want you now. It's like, because he's thinking about, because he's thinking about things. And that was a big thing I had falling out with the MAGA cult. You know, I looked at that MAGA, which is a complete joke, by the way. Now it's a complete joke, but I looked at it as like a non-violent revolution. That's the way I looked at Trump. I looked at the way things are going. I'm like, man, I don't like the way things are going. Trump seemed like he knows what, like, I like a lot of the things he was saying in 2016. Even recently, even though, like, I was lied to recently, but, you know, it's you know, I'm not going to hurt myself and bash myself too hard because I got duped by Trump. Because, like, he got in the first time, he did a lot of good things in his first term. And, you know, we all know like everything that's coming out in 2020. I don't know if I can talk about it on YouTube, so I'm not going to talk about it, but you can look it up on the internet. He made a speech a couple days ago talking about foreign country, you know, the influence. So, you know, and, you know, going into 2024, seeing all that, seeing the oppression and trying to make me do things I don't want to do in 2021, seeing all the money that was being printed out, seeing all these people being, you know, paid to stay home, while people like me had to go to work and they got paid more than I got paid just to stay home. Seeing all that happen, you know, and Trump almost being killed, I'm like, this guy, like, hey, listen, man, I literally thought, and I don't think that that was staged, but the way he turned it and got hit too, it's not like it was like, if I can give it some credence if he didn't get hit, you know, if the bullet came like 5 feet away or something, you know, then you can say, okay, that was, dude, it hit him. It hit him. And this guy's legit. You know, they arrested him. I thought he was going to come out here and, like, really, really cause a disturbance with the globalist, with the elitist. I thought to myself, you know, he's not gonna sell out, and maybe he still could make a turn. Maybe he goes against Israel. Maybe he becomes Israel's biggest enemy again, and then I can be, hey, listen, man, I can welcome you back with open arms, because I'm pragmatic. Okay, I'm a pragmatic person. I can look at something and be like, okay, this happened. Maybe that happened for a certain reason. You know, this whole thing with Iran, the way it's going, how we're continuously going. Instead of, like, for me, if I wanted to end the war with Iran, I basically would just pull everybody out of there and just leave Israel. I like, hey, you can go on your own. Listen, we made a mistake. We're gonna negotiate. We're gonna pull all of our troops out of there. That's what I would do anyway. I don't think we need troops over there anyway. I'm basically America only at this point, and I wanted to be America first, you know, and because I think that helping out. No, I don't. I'm not at this point. I'm America only until we get our stuff together. Once we get our stuff together, once we get our house in order, this is kind of like my own personal life. I want to get my own personal life in order before I can like go out and help people, because I would like to help people. How can I help people when I'm basically drowning myself? And that's where we're at in America. So, I understand some things you can't just like pull out like Joe Biden did with Afghanistan. It's got to be, I would be like, hey, we're gonna start lightening it up over here. I wouldn't leave my troops exposed, but I would be like, hey, listen, like, this is where we're headed. We don't need our people over there anymore. We need to come over here and fight the cartels. We need to clean up on our own continent. Europe, you can figure it out on your own. We're not going to be involved in NATO anymore. That you guys can figure it out on your own. I don't care. Like, hey, Russia, like, let's just try to work together. China, let's try to work together. We need to focus on ourselves, and maybe that's what happens in Trump's last 2 years in office. Maybe that's what happens. But he could be using the Iran war as putting pressure on other countries, their energy, to put us ahead. Honestly, I don't think that we need to be the world leader. I think we need to be the leader in our own backyard. But we don't. We can. I think that we can rely on other countries like China and Russia to lead their own places. But it's just so funny that I have to be in this box, and if I'm not there, then I'm again. Somebody posted something and blah blah blah, and I basically, the reply I said to it, I'm in a great spot because the left thinks I'm a Nazi and the right thinks I'm a communist. Now, what does that mean? If one side thinks I'm a Nazi and the other side thinks I'm a communist, what does that mean? Can I be both? Can I be a communist and a fascist at the same time? I guess you kind of can be, because it's authoritarian, but it's slightly different. One's more about tradition, the other one isn't. But I think I'm in that sweet spot where I'm an independent thinker, and that makes me very dangerous. It makes me very dangerous. If I had the resources, the elites would be in trouble. If I had the resources, I would destroy Madden. Like, I'm going video games. I was talking to AI the other night, and I was like, this is what I would do. And like, oh, that's, you would get sued because of copyright, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, then I'll do it like this. And then instead of, I was like, I'll just have like people who passed away, like, for the rosters or whatever, because I was talking about making a football game that rivals Madden. Like, what I would do is I would just go to the movie industry and I'd be like, hey, let me make some football teams and use your football characters that you've created in the past in your movies and put it in a video game. People can relate, and people might watch your movie again. It's a lot cheaper than going to the NFL, which you can anyway at this point, but it's way more expensive to get the NFL licenses than it would be to go to the movies and be like, hey, let me, a failing industry, the movie industry, going to them and being like, hey, can I get the licenses for the likenesses on your movie characters, the actors? And I was like, if I told Grok or Gemini, I was like, all I need is a bunch of resources. If I had $500 million, I would put Madden out of business, and at some point I would own it. That's how dangerous I am. That's how dangerous my ideas are, because my ideas can radically change things, and they can radically change things very quickly. So basically, if I had $500 million in resources locked up, I had $500 million, I can sit here and build a brand new game from the ground up, or buy a game that's already has a decent engine. It just needs to be spruced up because it needs some more elite talent to come in there and make it happen. And I was like, what I would like to do basically is take the actual teams that have, like, the cities that have teams, and then like use the colors. But they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, fine, then I'll do it like this. No, okay, then I'll change the colors, but I won't use the same logo, but I use the same, like, okay, it's like if I wanted to make the Chicago Bears or Indiana Bears, what they're so crazy, I can just, like, it's the Chicago Grizzlies. You know what I mean? When I was playing with the Access Football or whatever, I forgot what it's called, I was making like I would mock the team. I would make something to mock them. But I thought to myself, then I'll make the actual movies. All these movies that have created these fictional teams and these fictional, like, I'll just use that. I think that'd be cool. And then I thought to myself, like, I would build this awesome game that rivals Madden. Yeah, it's not NFL, whatever. And then I would make it free to play. When I make it free to play, I would also go to celebrities. I would fill out the rosters with people who have passed away. So it kind of seems cringe, but you have a Marcus Aurelius in there playing fullback or something. It's kind of like a fun thing. Maybe it has a little bit of historical facts in there, a little bit of a bio about them. So you learn. So there's some history there. You learn a little bit about history as well. So, like, it's a learning game as well. It's a fun game you can play. You got the football aspect. It's like all the, we don't want the animations. We want it to be like old, like in 2000. We basically want ESPN 2K5. That's what we want. So I would go to all these people that are famous now, and it could be a YouTuber, like, hey, listen, let me use your likeness as a downloadable character that people can pay for, and then you get a cut of that, whether it's 50% or whatever. So, like, you can bring people in that's famous into your universe right now. So you know what I mean? I come out with this with this, maybe it flops, but this game would be free. People would relate at an emotional level because they've seen the characters before. This is what I do in my own simulations. I'll make some of these football characters, like the Water Boy or whatever, or Major League Baseball, the Cleveland Indians. I'll make some of these guys in my game. And it's not just the emotional aspect, but it's visually appealing too. I've seen this. It's relatable. I've seen them before. Just making random NPCs, I don't relate to that. It's hard to relate. But it's outside the thinking, outside the box. And I think that game would check off a lot of boxes, and it would be completely different from what's out there right now. And people, why would I buy this Madden game? It's the same thing as it's been the last 5 years. Why would I buy? And I think that sales would tank. And if I made my game free to play, which I would probably take a huge loss the first year. So, like, basically, if I had $500 million in resources, I'm realizing that the first $150 million is going to be gone. But eventually, really quickly, I think, I wouldn't take losses anymore. I would start taking probably a lot of Madden's revenue, a lot of eyes. Well, the thing is, there's a lot of eyes. I want the eyes on there. I want people to make content on my video game. I want exposure. That's free exposure. These live streamers are live streaming this game. That's free exposure to my game. And the fact that anybody can play it for free? Yeah, you can't get Elon Musk on your team unless you pay for him. You know, and I'm just using whatever's already out here, like Fortnite. You know what I mean? And eventually, I would own Madden. It would go bankrupt. I would have the NFL license, and I can make my own NFL game. The way I think is highly dangerous to the establishment because they don't like change. This is why my videos get suppressed. It's not because I'm stupid. It's not because I'm not the most charismatic person, because I'm untalented. These YouTubers that are famous aren't any better than me. They're not. They just get the push that I don't get. That's all. Some of them could be a little bit smarter. Some of them can be a little bit more entertaining. But it's not like I'm a high school football player compared to LeBron James. Like, they're head and shoulders way better than me. You know, they are. In some aspects. In other aspects, I'm better than them. But I'm pretty aware of what's happening. The establishment doesn't like change, and somebody like me will bring radical change, good positive change that we all want, and lots of different things that's going on. And it's not just the establishment, it's not just the rich people that don't like me. It's also the popular people. The people, because they are a part of the establishment, whether they're fighting against the establishment, they're the popular people. You know, they control a narrative in their own platforms. A lot of people follow them. They'll blindly follow them. And they'll just, and people who, like, look at Nick Fuentes, right? Like, you can think what you want about him. Dude was widely unpopular, had unpopular opinions. All of a sudden, he blew up. He had a big name. He was known, but he was known for negativity. You hear about Nick Fuentes and you associate racism. He's a racist. He's a bigot. You know. Then he blew up. So, what people have to understand is something new that comes along, whether it's a new genre of music, people don't just latch on right away. They have to warm up. When you hear, I remember hearing like a new song on the radio back in the 90s when I listened to the radio all the time. You know, I heard it for a couple times. I'm like, Then, you know, I heard it a few more times and I kind of stuck. I like, it's not too bad. At first, I didn't like it. You know, this is like when people, people usually when they would buy an album, they buy it for the song, a couple popular songs, and they don't really care about the other songs on the. And I do that too. You know, you don't, and maybe some of the songs aren't the greatest, but it gets played in your head. You know what I mean? And this is what people, this is how they've controlled people. This is, you can look at the boomers, the TV, controlled them with the TV. I see it right now with people on their own platforms. Like, I like Owen Schroyer. I like a lot of the things that he says. But the fact that, people like me, because I'm not anti-data, well, I'm not, it's like, I don't care about the flock cameras. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, the flock cameras are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Do I think that there's some good things? I think it could bring more of a civilized society. I'm thinking, like, why are you against them so much? Are you trying to break the law? Like, is that what you want to do? I want things to be civilized. Like, I don't think, like, because I go out in public and I'm being recorded, like, that has anything to do with my freedoms. Especially when I'm using stuff like this anyway. And it's just like, I just think it's like their arguments are absurd. You know what I mean? And I could be proven wrong. But it's like, at this point, I'm sitting here thinking, you're already being surveillanced. Or at least you have to think, maybe we're not, but like, you have to think in the back of your head that we already are being surveillanced. And you are actively giving your data to social media companies, and they're selling that data to third parties. So, like, what do you talk? Like, I just go be Amish then, if you don't like it. I don't care about facial recognition. I don't care. I want to obey the laws because I want to live in a civilized society. And I recognize when you have a condensed amount of people in one area, you have to have law and order. You have to have rules. When you have less people, you can be more free. So, like, if you don't want to be in these type of places, then don't live in these cities. And these people have resources. Like, they can move. It's not like these guys are poor. No, they're trying to push an agenda. Maybe they're not coming from it the way I'm coming for, or thinking it the way I'm thinking about it. That you're a hypocrite for complaining about being surveillance when we already are. You go for a walk down the street, all of these Ring cameras are like, I just assume everyone has a Ring camera. Like, you're basically being recorded anyway. And they don't think like that. They think, oh, no one has a Ring camera. I just assume I'm being recorded all the time when I go out in public. I just assume it. There's a camera everywhere. I don't know. I don't know if the satellites are recording me. I don't know what technology they have that they haven't told us. Maybe, you know what, maybe it could be happening. I gotta cut this video off. Is they're being pushed in the algorithm, and they're getting the views, they're getting the likes, so they're pushing more of it. And they really don't even care about the flock cameras. It's because they're getting that dopamine rush of all the views and likes. So they're going to keep pushing more of it. They don't actually believe the stuff that they're talking about, or really care about it. They care more about being in the spotlight. So there's that factor too. People don't really think about